Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back. Today, a totally unplanned video. It's just with the new year and making plans and setting some goals and just thinking about life. I've also been thinking about stuff that I'm happy I've already done in the past. So I just came up with the video idea of 20 things I'm happy I did in my 20s. However, I did not prepare a list beforehand, so I'm just going to see what pops in my head and let's see if I can come up with 20 things. Number one for sure has to be living abroad, moving abroad. Highly recommend. Can't recommend it enough for anyone, especially in your 20s. And especially if you have a feeling that you would like to go somewhere and maybe you're a little bit scared or trying to play it safe. Just go, leave your city, your town, your country and move abroad, or just move far away. At least move away from your current environment and circle of friends and family. Just detach yourself from everything you know. I think especially in your 20s, you kind of might be in between of really forming your own opinions and identity, but still maybe trying to please others or seeing, okay, what are my friends doing or what is my family expecting? And it might be hard to really follow your gut and really listen to yourself or even find out what you want and what you need in life with everybody telling you what they expect or you just observing what everybody else is doing. So putting yourself in a situation where you just mute that voice for a while and you just don't have another option but to be by yourself and in new environment with surrounded by different kinds of people and so on and so forth. You will discover new parts of yourself and it will be easier for you to make your own decisions and maybe not so much focus on pleasing everybody else or doing what everybody else is doing. So when it comes to me, what I'm happy I did an au pair year, 3 au pair years. First one, after finishing my bachelor's, I did an au pair in Portland, Oregon. It was the best decision ever. I was super self-conscious back then, not confident at all. I hate labels, so I don't want to say I have had social anxiety, but it really felt like it. Anyway, I just was uncomfortable with myself, in my environment. It was okay, nothing bad was happening. I liked some of my friends, I liked the uni experience, but I just didn't feel alive, to be honest, at all. So putting myself in situations where I had to be around new people, when I had to experience a new culture, where I had to just stretch myself and be uncomfortable so much, like just put myself out of my comfort zone so much, helped me tremendously. It was the best decision. Just have so many fond memories as far as the experiences go, but also just how much I changed inside. I think that was the most life-changing year of my life. Of course, later on, big stuff happened in my life, like having a kid changes you completely. But just mentally and emotionally, this catapulted me like 10 years ahead of what it would have been, would I have stayed in my environment back then with my old friends, my own old whatever surroundings. So can't recommend it enough to those people out there who feel like they would like it. They would like to go somewhere. It doesn't have to be a whole year or 2 years or 5 years. It can be a semester abroad. It can be, I don't know, some 2 weeks during the summer if you cannot go for longer. But live somewhere for a period of time, preferably by yourself. Like just move on your own, not with a bunch of friends. It will help you so much, especially if you're an introvert, if you feel like you have social anxiety, if you feel like you just don't belong. Trust me, the circle of friends or people you are surrounded with right now, it's not the only type of people out there. And the lifestyle you see around you that you maybe don't want for yourself, that's not the only lifestyle that is out there. And also what you see online, it's not the only lifestyle that is out there. If you go somewhere else, live in a different country, are surrounded by different culture and community and different vibes and food, you might discover parts of you never knew existed, and you might love them so much and you might feel alive once again. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Like I said, I was a little bit numb in my early 20s, just feeling like, okay, uni is fine, but not too exciting. This is fine, but not too exciting. And then moving abroad, I really felt like this rush of, oh, I'm alive again. So I did 1 year, just back to my story, I did 1 year as an au pair in Portland, Oregon. I went back, I did my master's, and then I still was missing the States. And honestly, nothing against the States. It wasn't even the country, it was just the way it made me feel. The way that I pushed myself, the way that I was just exploring myself and being true to myself, and I just felt more alive. So I decided I'm gonna do an au pair year again, because you can do them until you, I think, 26 or 27, something like that. I was 25 back then, and I always wanted to live in California also, just something random, too much exposure to TV, to movies growing up with DOC, being obsessed with DOC and all of that. Really wanted to live there for a while. So again, after my master's, I got a job. It was fine, it was okay. But again, I felt like this is it now for the next whatever years. I'm gonna do this. My soul will die. So I wanted to do something else again. And of course, what popped in my head, when did I feel the most alive in the recent years? Oh, when I was an au pair in Portland. So I decided, okay, before I turn 26 or 7 and cannot take part in the program anymore, I will just give it a shot again. So I applied and blah, 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 blah. And I was specifically looking for a family in California and ended up finding one in Redondo Beach. And I spent there 2 years. It was something I'm so happy I did in my 20s, just not have the what if in my mind. Like, what if I would have done it? Blah, 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 blah. Can't believe I'm living 2 blocks away from the beach and I can come here. It takes me like 5 minutes to walk. I love it, I love it, I love it. I'm really grateful. Just enjoy the sunset. Okay, let's move to number 2 of things I'm happy I did in my 20s, and I think you should do them too. Number 2 would be traveling. Kind of goes a little bit alongside the au pair thing. But traveling in your 20s is different than in your 30s, I feel like. I mean, maybe you're just super used to luxury and whatever, but I feel like in your 20s you can just deal with whatever, be more spontaneous, sleep on the couch, sleep here, sleep there, don't sleep. It's just easier to find people just along the way who want to join you, who can show you around, who can just let you crash on their couch, and so on and so forth. Like, once you're in your 30s and most of your friends are in their 30s and 40s, they have families, it's just not so easy to just go wherever you want, whenever you want. And number 3, travel solo. Again, kind of similar, but something important to do. I think everybody should travel solo for a little bit. Just a different way of exploring a place, and again, getting to know yourself better. And whatever you can afford, whatever you feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to be like, I'm gonna travel around the world by myself. No, just go to a different city, go to a different country, whatever, like I said, you can afford and you have time for. I did a bunch of random solo trips during my au pair years. They most of the time, or never, ended up being solo trips, because you just meet people on the way. I met a girl in a hostel that I stayed friends with for years after. I met another girl who was also an au pair traveling. We met up, we spent a bunch of time together. We did couch surfing together in LA back then. Then I was reading a book on the pier in Hermosa Beach, and then a page of my book flew away. A guy picked it up, and then we ended up spending time with him and staying at his grandma place, like me and my friend. So yeah, lots of stories, like one thing leads to another, and you meet a bunch of people, like-minded people on the way for sure. Next one, I think number 4 now, is it? A more general one. Spend time by yourself. Just take yourself out on a date. I don't know, go on a picnic, solo picnic, go see the movies, go to a cafe, whatever it is. Just put yourself a little bit in that comfortable position of spending time by yourself. You will get to know yourself better, see what you like, what you dislike, and also just sit there with your thoughts and your ideas and your opinions, rather than always having all that input from somebody else, or also needing some kind of validation or even just a company. Yeah, so spend time by yourself. Something else I'm super, super happy I did in my 20s and I'm planning on doing for forever is just listening to my instincts, following my gut. And this goes for your ideas, your desires, but also your boundaries. And when you feel like this might be a scary situation, whatever it is, follow your gut. If you get that feeling in your stomach that this is right, go risk it, go that way, try it. If you get that feeling in your gut like this looks safe or this looks good, but I really don't feel like I should do it or go there or be there or say this or listen to that, remove yourself from that situation. No matter what others will think about you, say about you, doesn't matter. Follow your gut. You will never ever regret listening to your gut instinct. So I'm happy I did that throughout my 20s. I'm sure it saved me from a lot of trouble while traveling solo or doing anything. I had a pretty good job. I just didn't feel like that was for me, that was good. I followed my instinct. I quit the job. I did the au pair year. Like whatever it is, stick to your instinct, stick to your gut. It will never betray you. You will never regret it. Something else to do in your 20s is change your mind. Change your mind about what you like, your style, the food you like, your hobbies, where you want to live, your job, your career, you major at university, whatever it is, change your mind. Your 20s are definitely for changing your mind. You don't have to settle, you don't have to feel like, but I am that girl or that boy, that guy who does this or doesn't do that or likes this or doesn't like that. Screw it. You change, you grow, you expand in so many ways. You are allowed to change your mind, and there is no better time to change your mind than your 20s. Just do it. Next up, question everything in your life, your beliefs, your diet, your environment, your lifestyle, your family dynamics, but a big but. Don't get too sucked into the new circle. I feel like we all, and again, especially in our 20s, need a sense of belonging, maybe starting again to question our family, our friends, their choices. Does it work for us? Doesn't it work for us? And we look for circles of people, an environment, a community, a lifestyle that suits us better, that resonates with us. But I think it's so easy and almost dangerous when you're so young and so just energetic and so motivated to find your tribe, to just criticize heavily what you know and don't like and get really sucked into something new. Whether it's a religion, whether it's a diet, whether it's a lifestyle, whatever it is, it can be easy to get sucked into something new that resonates with you in that moment and idolize it a little bit too much. Of course, if it really works for you, go for it. But yeah, while questioning the old and criticizing the old, make sure you're also questioning and criticizing, are open to criticize some parts of your new circle, of your new environment, if that makes any sense. Because like I said, if we don't like one thing and we find something else that's better, it's easy to put this one on the pedestal and be like, this is it, this is absolutely perfect and amazing. But nothing is perfect and amazing. No diet, no lifestyle, no circle of friends, no hobby, no job. Nothing is perfect, and you will keep changing and keep growing. So yeah, you're allowed to move on from some old stuff, from some known circles and whatever. But just stay, open-minded. Oh, a fun one that pops into my head, something I'm happy I did in my 20s, is to skydive. I always wanted to, I was pretty much seeking out adrenaline stuff in my 20s for sure, but skydiving, you can do it anytime in your life, if your health allows that, of course. However, for me, I don't know what happened. I was never afraid of heights. I was never afraid of much, to be honest. Suddenly, in my late 20s and now in my 30s, I'm suddenly afraid of heights. Not like in my head, but when I'm somewhere on the edge and I'm looking down, my body feels different. Like I get sweaty palms, and I feel like I'm starting to get afraid of heights. So I don't know. I would still do it. Like I can mentally push myself, but I don't know if I would enjoy it. And also, like I've said, my body it's just that sensation about heights is changing the older I'm getting. So I'm really happy I did skydiving. I never wanted to do bungee jumping, but maybe that's something for you. If you travel somewhere and you have the option of either buying yourself some clothes there or some souvenirs, or doing something fun like skydiving or bungee jumping somewhere nice in nature, in a dope environment, I would recommend doing that. I was in Cabo San Lucas in Mexico with my first host family, the family from Portland, when I did skydiving, and it was super, super fun, and I'm happy I did it. Okay, this one might be a little more controversial. Read less, live more. Just read less. That's for the people who actually are reading, especially if you're reading self-help books. But if you're not reading any books, just first start with the reading part. Go read your books. But if you're reading quite a lot of books, and like I've said, especially in the self-help kind of type of books, just read less and live more. It's so easy for a lot of us to feel like this kick of satisfaction and like accomplishment after reading a self-help book. But then, are you really applying what they telling you to do in those books? Is your life getting better? Are you feel like enriched on any level? Are you experiencing more? Do you feel more alive? All of that. You know, it's so easy to just go from one book to another and feel like the sense of accomplishment after finishing a book. But your 20s are for living. Life is for living, and especially in your 20s. Don't sit in your room day and night. And I'm not telling you to go party if you're an introvert and don't like people and don't like parties, but just sitting in your books day and night might not be the best option. At least don't do it every day for the whole year. Take some breaks, go live your life. So read less, live more. Apply what you read in the books, but also put them aside for a while and just go live your life. Write your own story. Just to be extra cheesy, write your own story as well. No, don't just read someone else's life stories. One of my other favorite things I did in my 20s is to buy a camera. I bought a Canon, 70D, nothing crazy, but I never really owned a camera before. And I'm not telling you go buy a camera in your 20s, but I am saying learn a new skill or a new hobby just for the sake of it, not to make money, not to impress somebody, just for yourself. I can't tell you enough how much joy and excitement and just butterfly in my stomach the camera gave me, and how many times it got me out of the house for no reason, while traveling or at home, whenever, rather than just sitting at home because I don't feel like seeing people that day, or nothing is happening, or I just, mostly don't feel like seeing people that day and interacting. I'll just take my camera and go out there. And once you're out there, you're more likely to meet up with friends or do other stuff. Like I've said, don't go buy a camera, but if there's something you feel like you'd like to try out, try it. It can bring you so much joy, and it can be just a great way to spend your time. I know we just talked about buying a camera. However, spend your money on experiences rather than stuff. And I mentioned that before, and it makes sense with all that I've been saying so far, I think, but it deserves to be mentioned separately. And that's something I really did in my 20s. I didn't buy any crazy, besides the camera, which wasn't that expensive to be honest, I didn't invest in any crazy technology or whatever household stuff. If you're at that point in your life when you need it for work, or you have your own business or whatever, of course, invest in whatever you gotta invest in. If that adds value to your life, for sure. But just for us regular, normal people with no crazy careers or whatever accomplishments yet in our 20s, and without a family, without your own house, without your own apartment, without kids, don't spend too much money on stuff. Yes, it will give you that instant feeling of gratification for a moment, but other than that, you will not remember in your 30s and 40s and 50s that you bought something, whatever, random in your early 20s. But you will remember the trip to Australia. You will remember that course you will taking. You will remember going skydiving. So I needed to mention that for everybody out there who likes to spend their money on stuff. And speaking of material stuff, of course you will still buy some things. In your 20s, I think it's the time when we become more aware of what we like, what we don't like. So what I'm happy I started doing in my 20s, and I recommend you do the same, is moving away from quality to quantity in all areas of your life, from makeup, clothes, home decor, technology stuff, whatever. Better invest one time in something better quality that will last you and serve you for years to come. So yeah, move away from move away from quantity towards quality. I'm still in my postpartum period, sleep deprived, so forgive me. Something else I don't regret doing in my late 20s, or I'm happy I did in my late 20s, is choosing love, following love, choosing to move abroad to a country I never planned on living in, to be with my partner, the love of my life I met, rather than keep on traveling and doing my own thing. And that's not to say like get with somebody in your 20s. No, if it happens for you, if that's something you want and you meet the right person for you, of course choose them. But in general, just set up your priorities in life, your values, and then just go after them rather than choosing the safe option or the selfish option or whatever it is. Whatever that is for you, it can be a partner, it can be a career, whatever it is. But I always knew what I wanted the most in my life is to experience like true love. And I always wanted to be a mom. So then meeting my partner and knowing for me this is it, I'm happy I made the choice to choose love rather than to have a kid, rather than to travel more or chase a career or whatever else it might be. Since I've already mentioned it, yes, I'm happy I had my kid in my 20s, my first kiddo in my 20s. You might not want kids, but if you're in a position where you feel like, should I follow my career? Should I first establish my career a little bit more? Should we first buy a new house? Or should we have a kid? In most cases, I would say just have the kid. It's never the right timing, and you will figure it out as you go. So I'm happy I had my first kiddo in my 20s. I'm also super happy I did the thrill rides in Vegas. I don't know if you heard about those rides, but they're pretty intense, and I would be just too scared to do them right now. Again, I'm getting afraid of heights, and just in general, I don't know. Now with having kids, I start to overthink stuff. I want to be extra safe. But yeah, it was super fun, a crazy experience. And if you ever happen to be in Vegas in your 20s, just go on the rides. They're scary, but they're fun. Ooh, it's getting real sunny, which is nice because it's super cold outside, but hope the sun isn't too distracting. Next up, I'm happy I got a tattoo in my 20s. I always wanted one, but I grew up with rather strict parents who would more or less wanted to decide how I dress and how I present myself. And in my head, I was a rebel, but I, of course, didn't go out and get a tattoo behind their back because I'm also a people pleaser. And of course, I wanted them, I don't know, on my side or whatever. But then in my 20s, I did get one during my, second au pair year when I was in LA. And it's just a great memory. I'm happy I did it for myself. Like I said, growing up with parents who don't fully allow you to express yourself through the way you look, you kind of slowly find if that resonates with anybody out there. You then have to kind of find your ways of what is my style, what do I want my hair to be, do I like makeup, don't I like makeup, because before you kind of didn't have the choices. And not to fully blame my parents, maybe if I would have pushed a little bit more and just do whatever I wanted, they might have allowed some of it. But again, people pleaser in me just went along with whatever was expected of me or what I thought was expected of me. Anyway, I did not get a tattoo when I wanted in my teens, but I did then in my 20s in LA. And just, so yeah, for me, emotionally, mentally, that was like a really, really important step to take and something really great to do just for myself mentally and emotionally. Just be like, okay, I am in my 20s now. I am my own person. I can do those things, and I cannot blame my parents for everything, and they don't even care anymore. It's just me in my head. It's easier to blame your parents for everything than take responsibility and do what you want with your life. So that was an important step of me trying to figure out what I want to do in my life, but also how I want to look, how I want to present myself. So for that reason, I'm happy I did. But also just the experience, it was really fun. I went to a private studio in Pasadena. The tattoo artist was James Spooner. James was his name, I think. But yes, Mr. Spooner. He does vegan tattoos. And then afterwards, me and my friend went get vegan donuts. A donut friend, I think the shop was called Super Yummy. Anyway, I was, as you can probably tell, in my full-on vegan phase. I eat eggs now, so there's that. But it's not about my diet right now, my dietary choices. Just the whole experience of getting my first tattoo was super, super fun, super, super dope, and definitely a day to remember. It wasn't just like, let's quickly go to a shop and get it done. It was a whole day, super fun, that I'm gonna remember for a long time. So yeah, I'm happy I didn't get more tattoos. I'm kind of that kind of person, I think, who would get 1 and 2 and then get 20. I already had my second one planned, but then I decided not to do it, and now I could get another one, but I also don't really care about it. So I think I'm happy that I have just one. One more fun thing I'm super happy I did in my 20s was go cliff jumping in Hawaii. It was at a spot that was not really, I think, allowed at that point. Or I don't know if it wasn't allowed, but it definitely wasn't safe. I was doing a kind of guided camping trip tour on the Big Island back then with a bunch of other girls my age, students and au pairs. And the tour guide had us sign papers that if we're gonna jump there, it's like we take the risk, it's our own fault. If something happens, they don't want to have anything to do with it. They're not responsible for us in that moment because it's just too dangerous. But I did it anyway. I landed flat on my butt. I don't know how I did it. It hurt, but it was so much fun. It was such an adrenaline rush, and just the view and the experience of it all, and just pushing myself mentally to actually go and jump. Super crazy fun experience. Again, I wouldn't do it now anymore. First off, too dangerous. I want to be there healthy in one piece for my kids as long as possible. So too dangerous, but I would be too scared right now. So if you have any opportunities to do something fun and maybe a little bit more dangerous, or let's say scary, but you're in your 20s and you're wild and you want that little bit of adrenaline rush, just do it. Next up, volunteering. I did not do a crazy amount of volunteering, so I don't want to present myself here as the number one volunteer. But I did volunteer while I was in Portland. I think the website was called Hands on Greater Portland or something like this. I don't know if it still exists, but it was really, really dope. It had you could pick a date. Let's say on a Saturday, I don't have anything to do in the evening. Is there any event or something I could help with? You click on the date and it would show you what is happening, where, how many people they need, how many spots that they still have free, and you can just go and join and do that. I volunteered a bunch at the Children's Book Bank. We were just organizing books, cleaning books, preparing little packages around the holiday season for kids, and I volunteered in a food bank. Yeah, just again, packing up, sorting, organizing some food for people. So first of all, it makes you feel good. It makes you meet new people that you probably otherwise might not have met, especially if you're traveling somewhere or living abroad. It's a good way to meet new people, and you just help somebody else. And also in your 20s, I feel like time is on your side, at least more than it is later in life. Whether you have a family later in your life or your career just gets more and more demanding, your job gets more and more demanding of your time, of your energy, of your effort. In your 20s, I feel like you have more free time. So why not offer the time, share the time to do something good for others, and it, like I said, it's not just for others. It will make you feel good that you did something productive and helpful and good, and you might meet some cool people along the way. So volunteering also something fun and good to do in your 20s. I must say, I can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, I'm happy I did go to university. I like studying, I love reading, I love writing papers, all of that. So it kind of, yeah, it was, the whole experience wasn't like something totally against what I like and what I do and what I am capable of. However, if I would have a better idea, let's say for a business, I wish I had, I would definitely go do that instead of going to university. I'm not a believer in like you have to have a degree and blah blah blah. Like, it's at the end, it's a piece of paper. What's in your head, what's in your heart, what's in your soul, how you choose to live your life, your ideas matter more than that. There's a bunch of people super smart who don't have a degree, and there's a bunch of people super dumb who do have a degree and a shitty career, and they did go to university. So that's my mindset around college and university. However, first of all, I studied in Poland. I didn't have to pay much for uni and like the whole experience. So that's a plus. But also, I see a lot of young people in their late teens, early 20s, like be against university, be against college. Okay, you can be against it, but what's your alternative? If you have a super dope idea for a business, you have other opportunities, absolutely go do that. Go do that, risk it all. Your 20s are for risking it. But if you're that kind of person who doesn't have that idea, doesn't have the plan, doesn't have the opportunity, but also doesn't really like to study or doesn't know what to do with their life, like go study, go try, go learn something new, get that piece of paper. Then at least you have that piece of paper, and what, like it or not, people still look at you a little bit differently when you have the piece of paper. Not to say it in a like weird way, but if you apply to a job later on in life, they do ask you what's your highest degree. You know, it still kind of matters. So yeah, if you have a better idea, go do that. But don't be the person who's against college, against university, but also doesn't have a alternative plan. Like, don't just sit at home at your parents' house, play video games, or binge watch Netflix and complain about life and say university is not for me, so I'm not gonna do anything. You know, if you have something better to do than university, go do that. But if you don't have a super dope idea, go study. You will learn something, learn more about yourself, meet new people. It can be a really, really fun, dope experience. And at least then you have that piece of paper rather than having nothing and having wasted a few years of your life for absolutely nothing. So yeah, I am happy I got my bachelor's and my master's in my 20s. Okay, I think we at number 20. I might be wrong. I'll see when I edit this video. Last one, let's make it something meaningful. I'm happy that in my 20s, I reconnected with my parents. Yeah, I would say that. I never had like a really bad relationship with my parents. It's not like I completely cut them off or they cut me off or anything like that. But we didn't talk much. Even when I was traveling, nobody was checking up on me. Like, where am I? How am I doing? Not really. I'm not saying they didn't think about me or they didn't love me back then or whatever. But it was just the contact, the relationship, the communication just wasn't really there. And now we call very, very often, if not daily, then every other day. My mom came visit a week after my second baby was born. It's just, the relationship is there now. Definitely reconnected in my late 20s. Just put some more effort in it. Stopped blaming my parents for stuff and just becoming a parent myself. I just realized, like, you know it before, that everybody does the best they can with what they have and with what they know, but it's still so easy to just be pissed at your parents and to rather cut them off and then stay in touch. But yeah, you just get to know how it is to be a parent, and it's not easy, and it just becomes easier to forgive your parents and to look past some differences. And yeah, focus on the good and just be happy that they're healthy and they're alive, and then that they are there still. I feel like there's a lot of talk about setting boundaries and cutting people off and getting rid of toxic people. Yes, if it's like an extreme situation, of course, super extreme situation, get out of there. You don't have to be in a relationship with your parents, your family. But in a lot of cases, I believe it's just that we, for a long period of our lives, believe, like knowingly or not, that our parents should be something. We have this idea in our heads that our parents know everything or should do stuff a certain way. And then in our late teens, we realized that no, like there's a lot of disappointments and a lot of things they shouldn't have done, shouldn't have said, or should have done, should have said, and they didn't. And it's so easy to just detach yourself from your parents, your family, and be like, no, you guys don't do what feels good to me, like what I need. Okay, I give you that. But also, then in your 20s, late 20s, you might realize they're also just human. At the end, they're also just human. You will screw up, they will screw up. You want them to forgive you. You also should forgive them sometimes. So yeah, not gonna tell anyone how to live their lives and what kind of relationship to have with their parents. But if it's not the greatest right now, in your 20s, and you don't really know why, like there's nothing crazy happened between you guys, nothing, they didn't do anything extreme. It's just their relationship is kind of blah. Maybe it's worth reconnecting with them. Okay, I think that's it. I hope we got 20 things on our list, and I hope it was somewhat entertaining and fun for you to watch. It was definitely fun for me to film. Maybe I should do 20 things I'm happy I did not do or regret doing in my 20s. We'll see. That's it for now. I see you in the next one.